Hello and welcome. This is Mike Pair from MikePairMoney. Do you know where your money is? That's a great question. And I would say without a budget, you really don't have a good idea. Most people know where their car keys, their eyeglasses, or their mobile phone is. And they do a good job of keeping up with these things. However, having an idea versus knowing exactly where your money is, you really can't determine that without having a budget and tracking it. So I would say that a budget is essential and one of the first things that you need to have in place in order to manage your money well. So what is a budget? A budget is a tool to track income and expenses. So let's define these terms. Income is money that you earn by working from your job, from some investment. You may receive child support or alimony. You may have some royalties. All these are income sources. So this is money that you receive on a regular basis. Whereas expenses are things that you pay for. So these are goods and services. Think of bills, electric bill, phone bill, car note, car payments, rent, mortgage, insurance, taxes are expenses, right? So having a budget will help you answer the following questions. Again, knowing what your income and expenses are. So how much money do you earn? What are your household expenses on a monthly basis? How much money have you saved? Are there any expenses in my budget that I can eliminate? So creating a budget is pretty easy. So I'll just break it down to 5 steps. List all your income sources, job, side hustles, business. We talked about alimony and support. If you get disability payments, if you're W-2, if you do gig work, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, of the like, or even if you're self-employed, that income would be listed as well. And then you will list your expenses. We talked a little bit about rent, tithes, utilities, cell phone, car expenses, and the like. So once you have a list of both your income sources and your expenses, you would add all of your income sources together, and then you would add all your expenses together. And that way you would get a total. And from there, what you would do is you would subtract your total expenses from your total income. And ideally, your total income should be more than your total expenses. If not, then you would run a deficit and you would need to increase your income and or reduce your expenses. So I've created a budget template for you, and we'll walk through it to show you how very easy it is to create a budget. So let's click on this link. So it's going to take you out to this template here. First thing you're going to do when you go here, you want to go to File. You want to say Make a Copy. And you want to save it, whatever your name is. So I'll say Budget Template, and I'll just call this Demo. You want to save it, make a copy, right? Very first step. Once you have that, then let's walk through the instructions. So I perform the first step. So this budget is divided into a few sections: income, expenses. Then you have ratios. And it says the orange cells are where you will enter values based on the description. If you needed additional expense lines, go to the cell where you want to add a new row, and then insert rows, and then select one below. And it tells you about this budget was created by me, Mike from MikePairMoney. If you have any additional questions, you can email me here. And if you need to reach me, is website, Twitter, Instagram. And so all of this is on the first tab here called Instructions. And you have a second tab here called Budget. And we'll click on that now. And this is actual template. So what you would do here is you have a budget. It's just a title. You have income section. You have expenses. You have where your income is tallied. Then you have your total expenses. Then you have some analysis here where based upon what you put in terms of all your expenses, and then it gives some ratios. So let's just walk through this. Let's assume, say, a person is earning $500 every 2 weeks. So what we do is we take every 2 week income, and again, we're putting values into the orange section. So if I make take home pay of $500 per week, so you just look at your pay stub, see how much your paycheck is worth. Say if it's $500, say I have an additional income of $152 every 2 weeks. And so you tally that up. So again, these are broken down in 2 week increments just on the income. Whereas your expense lines are monthly totals. So make sure you note that difference. All right, so this is gonna say, hey, every 2 weeks, I'll make $1,000 a month here. Every 2 weeks at $152 for this additional income is $304. So you can take this 1,000 at 3. These numbers are just repeated here, and then it gives the total right here. For total income is $1,304. So that takes care of our income section. Now go down to the monthly section. This is where you would compute your monthly expenses. This is the category, the listing, and this is the actual payment. So if you don't like this title, you can change these titles. So say you pay tithes at church. So you do that, $100 a month, or let's say save, say you pay yourself, which is very important. I tell everyone to make sure they pay themselves. Whatever your rent amount is, let's say your rent is $1,250. Auto insurance, $100. Car payment, auto payment $100, car payment $25. And you can just continue to enter other values here. So I'll just walk through and just put some random numbers here. But as you can see, as I walk down through each of these categories, it's automatically going to tally these here. Now you can say, hey, what if I have a category that I don't? So I don't have a Netflix, but I have Hulu. You can just highlight that, type that, change it to Hulu, and then put in the monthly subscription. So, and if you need more lines, you can go down here you can do it anywhere from line 10 to line 30. You can right mouse click here, say insert above or below. You can add additional lines. So let's just finish adding some more totals here. These are just random numbers, just to illustrate the point. All right, so now this is our total expenses, $1,819. Total income is $1,304. Now, so you can see here in the budget analysis area, what is going to show if your expenses, meaning that if your total expense line here, which is $1,819, is greater than your total income, which is $1,304, which it is in this case, then it will tell you that your expenses are more than your income by the following dollar amount. So you run a deficit of $515 in this case, if this was accurate for your income sources and your expenses. And then you see here, as it relates to ratios are just some general areas of recommendation. So it's recommended that your car expenses only account for less than 15% of your total income, and your rent accounts for less than 30%. So as you can see here, we're running a deficit. So let's just increase our take-home pay, say to $2,000 every 2 weeks, or $4,000 monthly. And now you can see that I actually have a surplus here. And again, you can see here it says good, you can cover your expenses. The following number is excess cash, meaning that your income of $4,304 is greater than your total expenses of $1,819. So this budget here will help you to track your expenses on a monthly basis. And this will ensure that, let's say, for instance, if you were looking to save, you can say, okay, well, how much extra income do I have a month per saves? So in this case, I have extra $2,400 a month that I could use toward additional savings. So if I wanted to increase my savings, say by $500 a month, I could do so and still have an excess budget. Whereas let's say we drop our income down, let's say to $1,500 a month. So now we can say, hey, we still have an extra $1,000 a month, but what if I need to be saving more for college education for the kids? Let's say I'll put in $300 a month. Well, I can do that. So you can adjust your expenses as well as your income to reflect what your actual amounts are. And this budget template will assist you. Now, let's say if you're very tight on your budget, let's just make this so we're really close. So let's say this is your case where you're running a deficit of $200 a month. By having a budget, what it's going to allow you to do is you can start now going through your expenses and say, what can I eliminate in my budget? What are some things here that I could do to cut out? Now, some of these values in here, these are not real numbers, but let's just say if this college education line was too much, or if we had another line here that was extremely high, we could reduce that. So let's just say, just use this for a trivial example. So I got $36 for electricity, which is not valid. Let me put some real numbers in here for these categories, and then we can talk about them. So let's say your car insurance is $300. Say your insurance $125. Let's say gas per month, with gas being close to $4 to $5. Let's say it's $200 a month in gas. Cable internet, say $100 for water. Say it's about $125 for electricity. Say $70 for your natural gas. Cell phone, say $100. Groceries, eating out, let's say that's $350. Hulu, I think it's say $12. Miscellaneous expenses, let's say you have some medical expenses that you deal with on a monthly basis. That's $120. Let's say just prescriptions or medicines that you have to buy. Say those are $50. And let's say your clothing budget is $200, right? So now let's bump up your income, say to $2,500 per month. Okay. So now you can see here, these are some closer numbers here. So these are probably a little bit more real world, should I say. So let's say we're going to bump up your ties to 250, say 500. Okay. So you can see you have an excess of $746. But if you were looking in your budget to say, let's see if we had another item here in your budget that was, I know some people have car payments that are very high. Let's say you got a $750 car payment. So what now? Let's say you only have $96 extra in your budget, right? That's what we show. But if you now would go through your expense lines, you can see here, what could you possibly eliminate or reduce in order to provide more money into your budget? So you can say, hey, let's say eating out. Maybe if we cooked a little bit more at home, maybe you can reduce that, say, to $100 less per month. So what you could do is start to look at your expenses to see, when you start doing analysis of areas that you can possibly eliminate, to add more to your budget in order to ensure that you have enough overage to cover your expenses for the month. Or if you need to be able to save more, you can look at that as well. So you can say, hey, you know what, I may cut this Hulu, just use just some of the basic cable internet. Let's say maybe you go to, let's see what else. Maybe you do a little bit of ride sharing and you cut down on some of the gas. So maybe you don't drive as much. If you can reduce that, maybe work from home a little bit more. So say you cut that to $120. So what you can do is start to look at your expenses on a monthly basis, and this will help you to manage money that you have coming in terms of your income sources, as well as your expense lines. And then you can look at your ratios to see if you're paying more. So in this case, you can look at your ratios as well to see if you're paying for car expenses or rent or mortgage more than the recommended amount. So it's here saying that we're paying 22% for car expenses. So you see between car payment and car insurance, that is accounting for 22% of your budget, whereas the recommended is less than 15. So you can just look at these numbers here and some of the analysis to be able to make decisions about how you're going to manage your budget. This is the absolute essential piece to getting a handle on becoming financially responsible with your expenses, your paycheck, and how you spend money. And again, without a budget, you will not know where your money goes. And let's say, for instance, if you're not sure about all of your expenses, one thing I would do is pull up your bank statement. Most people have online banking where they can go through. And so sort through the things that you have swiped your debit card for, or either your Cash App, and start totaling these categories. Well, start listing the categories of money of where you spent things in the past 30 to 60 days, and fill out this expense level here and add more lines as necessary. Again, if you need to add a new line, so add one above. Here I can add another one above, so you can continue to add new categories that you need here for your expenses, and fill this out. And if you use that log from either your online banking, you can get a true sense of where you have spent money recently, and to get a true tally of how much money you're spending on a monthly basis. So I hope that this really helps you all in terms of being able to put a budget together. And again, this is the very beginning for becoming financially responsible and literate. So we thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at manager@MikePairMoney.com. You can go out to the website, MikePairMoney.com. And also you can take a look at our courses. And our courses here are at PairMike at Gumroad.com. And again, we teach financial literacy for a variety of different subjects. And this course here actually has the budgeting course that we just walked through in the slides. So definitely thank you for your time and interest. So again, thank you and have a great day. Again, it's Mike from MikePairMoney.